the special situation side of our marketplace. As many of you know, we have a marketplace. It's marketplace.flaia.org. What you perhaps do not know is that we launched our marketplace originally, with a company, and hang on one second here. Somebody has some birds chirping in the background. So yes, we set up this special situations marketplace for loans, for debt, securities, and real assets. But our original launch of this marketplace is it's actually with a direct investment into a hybrid debt equity security. So before we had any funds list on our platform, we had actually companies. So it's a really interesting story that many of you probably not aware of. But without ado, let's go into the confidentiality statement. Anything we say or do here can't be used against us, and you understand this part of it. Rainford.
Yes, Mike.
Will you please join as I?
Sure.
Perfect.
So the special situations sections of FLAIA Marketplace. We're going to give you a brief overview of that today. We have a long history at FLAIA of making markets in liquid assets. Many of you are perhaps unaware of this. In terms of our history, over the years, we've had a number of one-on-one sessions where we've matched institutional investors with best-of-breed managers. And in fact, the first deal, as Mike alluded to earlier on the FLAIA Marketplace, was a deal that was a distressed deal. So today, we're here to talk about and introduce the special situation section. And the question is, why the FLAIA special situation section marketplace? FLAIA, as you can see on your screen, we're working with a couple of institutions. You see there, a public pension fund with about $1 billion in AUM that's looking for loans, debt securities, real estate, both commercial and residential, industrial opportunities. We have an Asian institutional investor with about $20 billion in AUM looking for private equity funds that are in either US, Europe, or Asia. Specifically targeting middle market private equity portfolio companies with an EBITDA of 25 million plus. Mike, next slide, please. In terms of the institutional investors.
Rain?
Yes.
Can you just tell a quick story about how we started this process over 10 years ago with MIT's investment management company, and how that actually pertains to what we're doing here?
Sure. And you've alluded to this before, in terms of MIT, we were asked by the investment management company and that was the genesis over 10 years, as Mike mentioned, to find best of breed hedge fund managers for them, looking at this southeastern geography. And so with that mandate, we worked with the investment management company at MIT to really go out and source and diligence managers based on their mandate that they would find as attractive potential investment opportunities. So we have been doing this for quite some time. This is not new at FLAIA. Next slide, Mike. So to continue with the institutional interest we've had, there's a Japanese single-family office that's also interested in investing in tangible assets, energy and transportation opportunities. This investment organization is interested in vehicle windups, restructuring, ongoing capital needs, investor liquidity, platform development, et cetera, as you can see there. And lastly, a U.S. endowment with about $14.5 billion in AUM, at seeking special situations in distressed real estate. The endowment will invest directly into operating businesses or engage in either acquiring LP equity interest from passive investors at a discount, provide preferred equity or debt, or invest in common equity at a discount, or acquire direct equity interest in assets at a discount. So the marketplace we've built has a number of opportunities available for institutions that are looking to make investments. Next slide, Mike. So FLAIA plans to have the special situation section of the marketplace fully stocked by the end of third quarter or the beginning of the fourth quarter of 2020.
Why don't we talk about how we actually worked with MIT's investment management company, and they came to us at the end of July with regards to a timeline. It really only took us 3 months to have 15 great transactions in front of them, and that was chosen between 200 potential opportunities. So let's just talk about how, when they originally reached out to us, and what that process was like, and how everything unfolded. With building the data room, how we built the data room.
Exactly.
And then we had people with that wanted to get in front of them, submitted their actual materials. We organized it, warehouse it for them, and then allowed them to basically select, and following that through the capital allocation process, how it actually worked.
Yeah, and to your point, this was a process that we had built out at FLAIA, and it covered the entire due diligence process, including the initial screening of managers, setting up a data room where the materials could be securely housed, developing a process, a DD process, where we could evaluate and score each manager according to their particular strategy and what the mandate was, as well as the selection by the MIT management company, and then onward to the actual allocation of capital. So it was a very detailed process that was executed in a relatively short period of time. And it was very successful. And so that's the baseline for the special situation section of the FLAIA marketplace today. And so that marketplace on the screen, as you can see, we provide 100% confidentiality. We will sign NDAs if necessary. It's a secure data room. So in terms of data security, we've put together a room that carries the best data security available. We will not work with brokers. We're only working with principals on off-market deals. And the FLAIA marketplace offers secure and confidential transactions. As mentioned, we are certainly willing to sign NDAs for deals that come into the marketplace that requires the most extreme level of confidentiality. Next screen, please.
Rain, before we continue on, this reminds me of our first meeting at Flakowitz almost.
Yes.
Where I invited you to be a board member at FLAIA, which was an amazing idea. It's great to have had you, with us since inception. But if you don't mind, just like think about all the long nights that we spent organizing the actual data, and how closely we worked with MIT and their chief investment officer there to put these opportunities, and also talk about how back then the hedge fund industry was very secretive. So the data, the information was very similar to how it is in these special situations. And then I think that's a good time to actually segment into the next slide.
No, absolutely. Confidentiality was one of the critical requirements for MIT, and as well, back in those days, everybody had a proprietary strategy, and so disclosing the nuts and bolts of the strategy, that was something that it was very difficult to get hedge fund managers to do. So in that environment, we had to ensure that the confidentiality of the client was maintained, and the managers needed to feel that they could trust FLAIA as an organization in terms of their strategy submission and articulating what their so-called secret sauce was in order to be eligible for a potential investment by by MIT's management company. So you're absolutely right. It was in that environment. It was definitely a, a challenge to make sure that confidentiality was in place for both parties in order to have a successful investment.
Yeah, and then also, let's talk about for a second. They had very specific requirements with regards to how they look at investments and their investment mandates, right? And how we didn't divulge who it was, right? We were able to go out into the market, aggregate all the information, bring it back to them, and that's really the technology that's really the intellectual property that was developed to make the marketplace possible today. But you know, everything from the due diligence DNA model that you built and the scoring system, where we were able to do the rank and credit score on the firms. I say credit score, it wasn't an official credit score, it was just it was a module that we created to look at all the different risk factors and to look at the returns, and then to see how those returns follow the specific mandates of their endowment. And we put this all into a mathematical formula, and we really went and collected a lot of the data. But just talk about how we, with regards to the track records and their performance issues during the financial crisis and their bounce back in 2009, and what size the firms had to be and how they needed to look at specific types of fundamental analysis versus people who were more systematic in their approach. And that's actually one of the ironic things about MIT is it's typically known as an engineering school, but they're more of a value-based approach. So but Rain, if you can go back into your mind and just talk about that really quickly.
Well, I think in terms of the metrics, the process that we created to evaluate these managers on the ODD side and the operational due diligence side, we had to come up with a way, a scoring mechanism that looked at, I think it was over 200 factors in terms of operational investment due diligence, and be able to quantify those and come up with an aggregate score that would balance what the mandate was and look at the risk profile of the manager, both in terms of the operational side from an institutional grade infrastructure, as well as the performance of the strategy, not just benchmarked against the S&P, but looking for peer group benchmarks that really reflected the risk return profile of the fund. Unlike today, where you can look at certain private funds and they're benchmarking against the S&P, which back then was not something that we could even entertain, because the risk return profile, the Sharpe ratios, all those things, upside capture, downside capture, was certainly not in line with what the mandate was. So it was a process that was complicated, that we were able to put together a model to evaluate this firm with this type of these funds with this, given the risk profile and the mandate requirement for MIT's endowment. So as you can see here, the special situations section of the FLAIA marketplace. As an overview, it's a marketplace for a private listing and sale of loans, debt securities, and real estate assets. The platform offers institutional investors small, medium, and large loans, debt securities, real estate assets, based on the market requirements. So you see on the screen, you've got the assets on the left, and then the institutional investor types on the right. You want to add anything here, Mike?
No, this is a really this is going to be a great segment of our marketplace. We're really looking forward to stocking it with excellent opportunities here. You know, there's the good thing about a marketplace is the efficiency factors, right? It helps bring efficiencies to an inefficient space. And with a lot of these like loans, debt securities, real assets, it's a completely inefficient market. So our marketplace is striving to bring some efficiencies. We are looking forward to stocking it with various opportunities. That's why, you know, so far we have the buy side that's looking, that thinks there's going to be some, you know, this is going to be a lot of special situations. And then the sell side of the equation is basically saying, you know, there's not going to be, you know, any interesting opportunities in the space. So we're looking forward to receiving everybody's information, their actual deal flow. And we are going to be sending out a link which will basically provide you know, you with the opportunity to upload your special situation to the FLAIA marketplace. And Jeremy, do you want to go over how that actually works? Can you do it from your computer? So it's going to be done. It's going to be emailed out to you today. You'll actually have a link that will take you to a form. You can fill out the form, upload your information on your special situation, and you know, we'll be in contact with you. I am going to turn over my screen to Jeremy so that he can demonstrate for you the process. And I apologize, we're running a few minutes behind on for the 12 o'clock. So if you can just wait, you'll be coming up in 1 second.
While we wait for Jeremy, the slide on the screen is addressing the age alternative marketplace. Basically here, given the economic dislocation, there are opportunities. So the special situations marketplace is there to provide and offer the participants an efficient process to discover a price and yield on the upside. Our goal with this marketplace is to facilitate over $1 billion of funded deals by 2021. So we have a pretty ambitious goal that we hope to achieve, and we think that there are plenty of opportunities in the marketplace for us to get to that goal. Jeremy?
So Rain, we're having a little bit of difficulty switching between moderators. So we're going to end it here. Okay. And we're going to begin the next panel on time. I thank you for doing this presentation with me. It's another segment in our growth together.